patients globally through personalized wellness consultations as well as specific diet and menu plans. She is an Ayurvedic chef as well as pulse and marma expert. She also specializes in helping people with cellulite and weight management. She lives in Toronto with her husband Nimai, son Shyam, and daughter Ikisha. Thank you so much, Mataji, for accepting our request. Hare Krishna, over to you.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Good morning. Good morning here for us, and good evening to all of you from different parts of the world. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you all can hear me clearly and see my screen share. Please let me know if not. Thank you so much. Yes, you can hear. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much for to the Practical Spirituality team and dear friend Braja for organizing this. I am very, very grateful to be here to share some Ayurvedic wisdom that I have gratefully learned from my teachers. So as she introduced, menu planning is a very highly sought topic because we have so much knowledge floating in, but how to actually apply in our lives. So let's dive into this topic. Just as we begin, I would like to start with thanking my teachers and begin with some prayers. Join me in. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so let me share, do a slideshow. Okay. Before we begin, let me tell you all the agenda for today, so we know what we are going to do for next hour or so. First, we will go through a brief talk about Ayurveda, how Ayurveda is not just a medical science. These days, we have this impression that just when we fall sick, we have a couple of options, okay? Naturopathy, Ayurveda, homeopathy, allopathy. And so Ayurveda is also considered one of the medical science, but it is more than medical science, which we will understand shortly. Shortly thereafter, I will talk about the lineage of Ayurveda, where I learned my Ayurveda from, and some connection with that for today's workshop. And next, we will go through the 3 prerequisites for menu planning. Before we go into menu planning, there are some requisites that we should plan. Next will be the 3 guiding principles of menu planning, the principles which are the building blocks on which we build our menu. And after we have learned the principles, it will be really exciting, and I hope you all feel excited, because once you learn the principles and if you can apply it, then we start feeling empowered that we also can plan menus with wholesome nutrition. So we will do some practice over planning the menus. And finally, I will speak about specialized menu planning for specialized conditions, and which is detox, weight loss, sugar and fat metabolism, which is another most sort of topic these days. So let's begin. The next slide. Ayurveda, the way of life. So more commonly and from the textbooks, Ayurveda is defined as the science of life, where Ayu means age, Ayusho Vedaha Ayurvedaha. So Ayush means age, Vedaha is a science, and Ayurveda is the science of life. But another very relatable definition that I always like to talk about is Ayurveda is also known as a user manual for life. Just like when we buy some appliances from the market and they come with a user manual, the manual indicates the do's and don'ts with the appliance, the best practices for the appliance to work long term, and also some troubleshooting ideas if the appliance is not working properly. So similarly, when this human body was created, it came with a user manual known as Ayurveda. And Ayurveda has lot of principles, sutras, knowledge, which tells us the do's and don'ts to keep the body in rhythm with nature. So, for example, waking up with the sun, going to bed with the sunset, keeping our body in nature's rhythm. These are some of the practices which help us keep our body very with sound health. So also there are some troubleshooting ideas. So these troubleshooting ideas that are given in the user manual are the disease part of it, that if you encounter this kind of disease, then these kind of herbs and these medicines work. So medicine is just part of Ayurveda, but Ayurveda has much more than just medicine, is what I would like to focus here. And there are food, there are herbs, there are habits. You can make Ayurveda the way of life by the way you drink water, the posture in which you sit and eat. If you stand and eat, the energy of the brain is focusing on giving energy is getting divided between the legs and the stomach, because the legs need energy to stand. So if you sit, you are actually helping all the energy to get focused on your stomach, and your digestion is happening very appropriately. So just a simple practice. We don't have to do very complicated things in order to follow Ayurveda in our life. We can just, but it's beautiful to know, because our ancestors, for them, these practices were very natural. They were anyways following it. Over the period of time, we have lost it. So we are now trying to revive and also apply it to our modern lifestyle and make it practical for us to practice Ayurveda as we breathe, as we walk, as we talk, as we eat. And today, mainly, we will focus on food, how we can, be mindful and make Ayurveda the way of our kitchen. Okay, so let's go to the next slide, which is SV Ayurveda. Shakha Vanshiya Ayurveda is the lineage of Ayurveda where I was fortunate enough to learn my Ayurveda from. It has been mentioned in Bhavishya Puran, and my teacher used to always follow Charak Samhita, the main textbook of Ayurveda, the sutras from Charak Samhita. And one of the main focus of SV lineage was food as medicine. So as you see this sutra from Charak Samhita here, it strongly says that without proper nutrition, medicine is of little use, and with proper nutrition, medicine is of little need. So it gives a lot of importance on food, the type of food we eat. It is said that we are what we eat. And just like we go to different universities, right? There is a course, for example, an MBA or an MD or a PhD, and so many institutes over the world offer these courses. But there are students who travel from one corner of the world to the other corner of the world in order to go to a particular university in a particular country, because the course may be the same, but every university has its uniqueness to offer. And this food as medicine is the uniqueness that the Shakha Vanshiya Ayurveda offers. And I'm happy to share that with you. Let's move further. So as we get started with menu planning, I have coined a beautiful analogy for us to understand what we are exactly going to do. Let's consider all of us who are so inquisitive to know that what the right menu is as research scientists. And we as scientists, to know that what is the right formula for good health, we need a lab. So your kitchen is your science lab. And the food ingredients and the spices and all the ingredients that you're going to cook with are the chemicals of the lab. So just as we study in a science lab, sodium, the molecular weight, the density, we study different properties of these chemicals. We will study different properties of different foods and spices, how they interact with each other, whether they go well with each other or they don't, fit in the equation. So next we will study the qualities of food ingredients. Now, when we have all the ingredients, we need to have some formulas, right, to conduct any kind of experiment in the lab. So the Ayurvedic sutras are like our formulae. We will study some sutras based on which we can plan our menus. So menu planning will be the outcome of applying these formula to our food ingredients and spices. And finally, the actual cooking will be the chemical reaction, and the result will be good health. So does it sound exciting? Let's go to the next slide. So the 3 essential prerequisites are a kind of introduction into our food ingredients, the properties of our food ingredients or our selection and the processing. So let's study those properties. First, prerequisites before you plan menu. You should have the right ingredients. So we say samyoga which is mindfully gathering your right ingredients. Second process, you may have the right ingredients, but if you do not process them rightly, if you mix the 2 chemicals which overreact with each other, you might have an accident in your lab, right? So similarly, if you take up some wrong combinations, it might have a wrong chemical reaction into your body, leading to some kind of disease. So let's understand that how will we process these right ingredients, give them right samskara, and then consume. And finally, we need to know that even though we would have right ingredients, we may have processed it correctly. But if our time is not correct, then it may not lead us to desirable results. So right time is also very important. We will dive deep into each of the topics where I will speak about them. So let's go to the first one, which is samyoga, gathering your right ingredients. So my teacher, Vedya Mishra ji, he just for the ease of understanding and making it relatable, he divided these ingredients and called them intelligent, dumb, and dead. We all know that we are what we eat. Like if we eat chilies, people who are, have a habit of eating some spicy food, sometimes you see that they get angry also very fast. So the food has a lot of impact on our body. So as these words suggest, that if you eat intelligent food, you can fill in the blank, is the result on our mind and our body will be intelligence. And likewise with dumb and dead food. So let's understand. Intelligent, the first thing it says, alive, fresh, and full of prana. This is very important. As they say, from farm to the table. So if you imagine a carrot which has been freshly plucked from the farm, when you try to peel it, you actually hear the sound, the crispy sound of peeling the carrot. And there is so much life. It is called vitality. Prana is life force or vitality. You actually, if you have a carrot from the farm and you peel it, you hear the sound. Not only the sound, you can actually feel the water or from the carrot, sprinkling over your hands while you peel it, because it has so much life force into it. So that's the fresh, most intelligent carrot or an ingredient that you can have. Dumb food is another level. You've bought a carrot from a supermarket which has been on the shelf for 15 to 20 days. So it has lost some of its vitality. It won't be as crisp. It won't have so much juice into it. And dead food, meaning you have frozen the carrot. For example, you have chopped frozen carrot ready to cook in the refrigerator, and it is very tempting because it is ready. We have busy lifestyles, but by subjecting the carrot to the treatment of freezing it, the internal cell walls, the cells of the carrots are being frozen. Imagine we freezing in the snow, like our bodies. They are not full of vitality. Our voice also flutters in between if we are feeling too cold. So it doesn't have the best of the prana or the life force. So for your ingredients to be full of prana, as far as possible, pick organic, pesticide free, non genetically modified ingredients. Combining them with proper herbs and spices, we will talk over in the next slide. Seasonal, again, seasonal is important. Why seasonal is important? Because the fruit or the vegetable growing in that particular season has been subjected to the same nature's condition, same weather's condition as the body is experiencing. So having that food with our body, we are trying to sync our nature's rhythm by having those seasonal foods. So seasonal foods really help enhance our metabolism and keep our body in sync. Easy to digest, absorb, and eliminate. So there are certain foods that are mentioned which are not meant for our human body, some kinds of meats and stuff. So they are those kinds of foods, or some foods which are heavy and clogging our pathways, our channels of our body. The food which is intelligent always feels light after eating. There is a difference between feeling full and feeling heavy. So if you have ever eaten a meal and if you feel full, that means you feel full, but you feel light, you feel more energized. But if your food is not very intelligent, you might feel heavy, you might feel drowsy, you might feel like not, moving around or doing things. So that's a test whether you have had your right kind of food or not, and consumed within 4 hours of cooking. So to summarize this slide, a simple suggestion that I would give is, as far as possible, pick seasonal, pick fresh. Whenever we pick any kind of packeted foods or spices, the way I look at them is the minimum number of ingredients listed on the packet, the better. That's the choice you make, because we don't want more additives, more preservatives, more products which have a very long shelf life may not be the best because they have more kind of preservatives. So we pick our ingredients carefully, right from vegetables to spices to the cooking mediums and everything else. Next, processing of these ingredients, we call it samskara, giving right samskara. There are two parts to this samskara. First part is food combinations. Some programs that don't, there are a few programs that are not common between Windows and Mac. So some programs that work for Windows don't work properly for iOS systems, the Apple systems, and some programs that work in the Apple systems don't work in the Windows. So similar, also again, another example is some people, we may have so many friends, but not all, we do not gel with all at the same level. There are some friends which are close, they are the best combination for us, the best company for us. There are some people whom we do not feel comfortable with. Their company makes us, feel uncomfortable. So in a similar way, there are some foodstuffs, some combinations that don't go well with each other, and some food combinations that go brilliantly with each other. These food combinations may not directly show any chemical reaction as we imagined in the lab, but as some foods may act as a slow poison in our body, they cause slow reactions, and over a long term, you may see manifestation of diseases. For example, milk and salt don't go with each other. So when you have milk with any salty breakfast or salty food items, it's not the best practice to have. And this combination in a long term gives a lot of skin problems. So these are the don'ts that I'm telling you, but don't worry, we are not promoting, okay, stop eating this and that. There are always substitutes. It's always good to have the knowledge, be mindful, and always look for what else could be done. Just again with the example of milk and salt. So white sauce is a very common thing that we all do. As we see that if we make the white sauce with milk and add salt in the sauce, it might not be the best combination. So there are other ways to go around it, like using almond milk for that matter. And it's very simple to make your own almond milk at home and make your own white sauce with salt. So the next one is yogurt with leafy greens. So things like spinach, kale, or any kind of green vegetables that don't go with yogurt. Mint, coriander leaves, cilantro, these all are herbs. Please note, these are herbs, so they are okay with yogurt. But I'm talking about the green leafy vegetables. So yogurt with leafy greens. Other combination that really don't fit well is milk or yogurt with fruits. So milk with fruits or yogurt with fruits. They do not go well together. And the last combination that I have mentioned here, which doesn't go well, is again milk with yogurt. So milk and yogurt with each other don't go well. Some combinations that go superbly well, always boil your milk with spices like cinnamon and cardamom. Cinnamon helps to digest the sugars in the milk. Cardamom helps to digest the protein part of the milk. Adding turmeric to milk is a very good idea for your bones. Then topping your meals with lime. So we will talk about lime a little more further, but just to introduce here that sprinkling lime on top of your meals help the absorption of your meals very correctly. But using lime in cooking, like adding lime to your dal or sabji while the sabji is cooking, changes the structural element of the lime and turns it acidic from being alkaline. So we do not want, our body doesn't have capacity to buffer so much acidity, especially if we are doing this as a regular practice. So a good practice is to add lime after the food has been cooked and some vapors have been settled. It gives you best results. Cooking greens with ghee and ginger. So the greens are light. When they grow, you can see they are light in weight, unlike other, for example, sweet potato, for that matter, is a heavy vegetable. So these light greens are more predominant in air element or the vata element. So cooking them with ginger and ghee balances their vata element, and it's a good combination to consume, especially when you are having greens, to avoid any vata imbalance in the body. So this was about the food combinations. The other tips for processing your ingredients the correct way is one very, very commonly asked question that comes to me is, should we consume raw food or cooked foods? When I'm talking about nature's rhythm, then why process it? Why cook it? A lot of people ask me this question. But remember that our stomach is like a machine or a furnace where things are happening. It's like a blender where things are being cooked. So when you eat raw, when you process the ingredients or cook the food on the stove, if you do not do that, then all that work that has to be done outside will have to be done by our stomach. So for example, you use your blender to blend hard nuts, which are really hard to blend very easily. For a long term, once or twice is okay, but if you use your blender for long term to blend very hard foods, your blender's life is going to decrease. your blender might not function well in long term, might show up some issues. So similarly, when you are giving more work to your stomach and not being kind to it, you will see results once it starts showing you warning signs. So it is always best to reduce the burden on the stomach, and how much to cook also depends on the health of your stomach. For example, people who have a very, very weak digestion, then they are recommended to eat overcooked food, so that the stomach has to work even lesser and the absorption happens faster. So every body is different, but by principle, today we are going to talk about a general healthy person. And so cooked food is always recommended. And the other thing is spicing the food. So the spices, the cumin, the turmeric, the coriander, black pepper, the plethora of spices that come from our tradition, the lineage, the masalas, they all are so scientifically formulated. There is a proper proportion that is recommended. There are some sutras that say that 3 parts of coriander with 1 part of cumin gives this kind of result, and 1 part of fennel. So it's all a very scientific process to make these spices. My teacher used to say that spices are the grammar of cooking. So now imagine talking any language without grammar. It will not have the connection. So in our body, there are so many channels, so many pathways, and the food and the nutrition has to reach each and every part of our body. So these spices help the unblocking of these channels. Somewhere, there is a blockage. If we are stressed out, the channels might have been clogged, or maybe if we have consumed some wrong food, we need to clear up those pathways for nutrition to be absorbed appropriately. And so these spices help. So spices are really the grammar of cooking, and they are really important. Processing of your food with spices. Next is time, or we call it dinacharya, but today we are talking of time in terms of food, how it helps with our menu planning and food. So right thing done at wrong time is also wrong. So for example, yogurt is very good, brilliantly. Homemade yogurt with good probiotic friendly bacteria, a very, very good ingredient. But it is, along with being very good for our probiotic and having friendly bacteria, it also has a property of being clogging and being heavy. So if you consume yogurt at night time, when our digestion is weak, our digestion is generally stronger in the daytime when the sun is stronger. As the sun sets, the digestion becomes weak. That's why we recommend that we eat lighter foods in the evening and have your biggest meal during the day. So if you have yogurt in the night, which is clogging, you are going to have some kind of kapha imbalance and get some cold, or, cause some discomfort in your health. So time is really of essence. Delaying or skipping meals can cause chronic diseases in long term. So I can give you one example. Our stomach produces acids to digest the food. So when these acids do not get the food at right time for doing their work, these acids are waiting in your stomach to get there to do the processing for one time, once in a while. But if you start, it's okay. But if you start doing it regularly and you have this excess of acid, it will start eating the lining of your own stomach. And or it may, go through the body and burn some channels and cause problems. Long term, it may cause chronic acid reflux. Further long term, it may cause ulcers, and you can go to nth level of diseases. So keeping your meals on time, not skipping them and not delaying them is really important to keep our body in balance. Third thing is sleep. So sleeping adequately at right times helps with healing of organs, resulting into good health. So with sunset, like in olden times, there was no electricity. everything has its advantages and disadvantages. We have progressed, and we also have a lot of advantages, but there are some missing factors that we have encountered. The test of this is that we see that our grandmothers, great grandmothers were much healthier. They had a longer life. They used to function much better even in old age, and they had the stamina and the capacity, which we always say is much more than us. So one of the reasons I could always reflect upon was they didn't have electricity. So they had to wake up with sunrise and sleep with sunset. They didn't have to do late nights and miss sleep, or be awake post midnight. Sleeping after, just as with sunset, actually is an activity which helps healing our organs. So body goes in a restore mode once you sleep. So if you have every day given your body enough rest to recover, our systems are healthy and they are ready to digest the food, fight with the diseases, have strong immunity. But if we do not, then we are lacking, and over the period of time, unhealing of these organs also show up in our health. Also, not sleeping immediately after meals, before you go to bed in the night. At least there should be a gap of 2 hours before you go to bed, so which helps in complete digestion of the food that you have eaten. So time is of real importance when it comes to the prerequisites. Now we will come to the sutras part, the guiding principles of Ayurveda, which will be our building blocks for planning our menus. So we can see this is kind of a DNA of planning menus. The 3 things to keep in mind. First one is the menus have to be tridoshik. Tridoshik meaning they balance all the 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta and Kapha. So today we are talking about how this knowledge is applicable to one and all, every one of you. Once we apply this, we can apply this knowledge for everyone. But if there is a person with an extreme Vata imbalance, extreme Pitta imbalance, or an extreme Kapha imbalance, the menus will slightly change depending on the situation. But even if that's the case, even if they consume these tridoshic menus, it is going to help them to a greater extent. So we'll keep our discussion to balancing the 3 doshas and not get into specific recommendations for specific systems for now, to understand the basics. So menus have to be balancing the 3 doshas. Second is the menus should be nourishing each tissue of our body. There are 7 dhatus defined in Ayurveda. We will go through them shortly. And another important thing that we miss to understand is that the elimination also has to happen simultaneously, or the detox of that same dhatu also has to happen simultaneously, which is known as shodhana or apatarpana. It is just like when you cook in your kitchen every day, you also need to clean your kitchen every day, right? You cannot cook for 5 to 7 days and not clean your kitchen. You are definitely going to invite pests and dirt and smell and everything else. So nourishment and elimination, nourishment and detox have to happen hand in hand. Let's see how. So first, as we said, we need to balance all the 3 doshas. And how do we plan menus such that they are tridoshik? One simple formula is by incorporating the 6 tastes in each menu. The 6 tastes that are described in Ayurveda are Madhur, sweet, Amla is sour, Lavana meaning salty, Katu meaning pungent or spicy, Tikta meaning bitter, and Kashaya also known as astringent. Madhur rasa doesn't mean having sugar. But the foods that predominantly have sweet taste, which are like grains, squashes, paneer, yogurt. So we have to incorporate all these 6 tastes in our every meal in order for the meal to be balancing. And they have to be, the quantity of these rasas have to be in this hierarchy as they are mentioned. So more of Madhur rasa, then a little less of Amla rasa, even lesser of Lavana rasa. So we know that we can add only certain amount of salt. The amount of grains, for example, the amount of chapati and rice that we have, they both fall under grains. So the Madhur rasa, chapati and rice are part of Madhur rasa. And the amount of salt we add in both of them will be much lesser than the quantity of Madhur rasa in our meal. So slowly, as these 6 tastes progress in hierarchy, the amount of those tastes have to be limited. That's how you keep it balanced. So next is amla or sour. Every meal or while you cook, you could use something that gives a tang, a sour taste. Garcinia or kokum being great to cook with, and lime on top, as I explained just a few slides before, that adding lime or lemon into your dals or sabjis while cooking turns this lime into very acidic. With the amount of pollution and the lifestyle that we live, most of us already deal with a lot of acidity in our life. Not only the manifestation of acid reflux, but our bodies inside have a lot of acidic pH. So we do not want to increase the acidic pH. We want to keep the body alkaline. So so cooking with lime is not a good idea. Use lime on top. Next is salty. So we always recommend the Sendhav salt, which we usually use for fasting, for regular use also, because the sea salt has sodium, and sodium actually retains water. So a lot of retains water, and with the water, it will retain the toxins also that are produced in your body. So usually we recommend using the rock salt or the Sendhav salt. Next is katu or pungent or spicy. So these spices like black pepper, ginger, green chili, they all open up the channels even if there is clogging. They are known as yoga vahi. While the food passes through the channels, we talked about how these spices help unblocking the channels and helping reach the nutrients at the right place. So spicy taste helps us with that. Every meal should have something bitter. So bitter greens, karela, methi. So bitter greens also, greens like spinach and our seasonal leafy greens that we get. Kale, chard. These are some of the examples of leafy greens. So having some leafy greens in your meal at least once a day helps to balance this rasa. Next is kashaya or astringent. So the kashaya rasa has to be, it's the last, so it has to be less. The main quality of this rasa is it helps in absorption. So cumin, radish, dals, the lentils, pomegranates, these things help in absorption of the nutrients. But why we say that it has to be less? Because it comes with the the benefit comes with its disadvantage also, that if we consume too much astringent, then it may also not help elimination freely and also reabsorb the toxins. So we have to be perfectly balanced. Pomegranate is my classic recommendation for people with diarrhea. So pomegranate sprinkled with some cumin powder helps control the motions and helps absorption in the body when you have diarrhea. But having the same quantity of pomegranate and cumin every single day, then you will be constipated. So everything has to be balanced. So we talked about the 6 rasas that have to be part of every meal. Next, we come to nourishment and elimination, which happen in the 7 dhatus. So first, just let me mention the 7 dhatus, which are first, beginning with rasa or plasma, which can be nourished by balancing, by using the 6 tastes. Second is rakta or the blood tissue. It can be nourished by consuming iron-rich food. Third is the mamsa or the muscle tissue, protein-rich food. Meda or the fat tissue, having good fats in your meal. Fifth is the asti or the bone tissue, having good calcium in your meals. Next is majja or the bone marrow, which is the internal part of the bone. And the 7th is the shukra or the reproductive tissue. And we need to see that we are providing nutrition to all these 7 tissues. At the same time, we are keeping these 7 tissues clean in order to achieve wholesome nutrition. So let's see how. So as we see this table here, these the left hand side, I have mentioned the 7 dhatus. The 2 columns, they mention the foods which nourish these dhatus. It is called the santarpana. And the right hand side, the rightmost column, mentions the food which detox or keep these tissues clean, which is known as apatarpana or shodhana. First tissue, rasa or plasma. The rasa word matches with the 6 tastes. I just mentioned the madhur rasa, amla rasa, the 6 tastes. And this is the first tissue, rasa. So this first tissue can be balanced or can be nourished or can be also detoxed by following the first step, is having 6 tastes in your diet. You are also having bitter foods, you are also having sweet foods, and so simultaneously this rasa dhatu is getting nourished and and also cleaned or getting detoxed. The second tissue, called rakta or blood, to nourish this tissue we need iron rich foods. For example, spinach, kale, beets, carrots. These have good iron. So including iron, at least one iron rich food in your meal every day. The next tissue, the muscle tissue or the mamsa tissue, we need protein rich food. So good proteins like lentils, the dals, the small beans, paneer, milk, yogurt, these have good protein. As you see on the rightmost column, the detox part of the rasa, rakta and mamsa tissue, we need to add some bitter greens or some bitter vegetable, or maybe some methi as a part of your masala, the methi seed powder as a part of your masala, which gives this bitter taste, which helps the cleanup of these tissues simultaneously. Next, we go to the fat tissue called the meda. And this is the most talked tissue these days because people think that they have a lot of fat. So let me explain why. It is firstly, it is very important to have good fats in your diet to nourish this tissue. And these good fats are in the form of ghee. Also, ghee has its own properties. These days, we do not get the market ghee as our pure ghee. So it has to be probiotic, cultured, and best made by from A2 milk. So ghee, olive oil. Ghee has a higher smoking point. So while cooking with ghee, it is very important to note that while you do the tadka, it should not fume. Otherwise, the ghee has formed free radicals. Sesame oil has even higher, fuming point than ghee. So it is good, but it is sometimes as a change of taste, sesame oil is good, but it is not recommended for everyone because people with high pitta, they may not be able to handle sesame oil. But these are good fats. Olive oil should not be cooked because it has a very low fuming point and it forms free radicals very quickly. So, but olive oil can be used on top in like sauces, like when you make a pesto sauce or something. So olive oil, or while if you want to use olive oil, use it along with ghee because the ghee will protect the burning of the olive oil. So when you put ghee for cooking your vegetable, you can add some olive oil to that ghee. Once the ghee is warm enough, it will protect the olive oil. Now we come to the elimination part of fat tissue. Now, why is this fat tissue so much talked about? Because all the personal care products that we use, or all the toxins that we generate in the body, like we use so many shampoos, soaps, makeup, beauty products, and if you turn to the list of ingredients, they have a plethora of huge list of chemical ingredients. Where do these ingredients go? So most of these toxins or these chemicals are fat soluble, and hence these these toxins go and settle in your fat tissue, and that's where your fat tissue keeps growing with these toxins. It is very important that we regularly clean up this tissue by detoxing. So some foods that help detoxing the fat tissue is by using curry leaves regularly. Such a simple thing, right? Our mothers and grandmothers have always done it, and there was a big science behind it. So curry leaves, using turmeric in while cooking. Add turmeric when you just put the ghee. Turmeric really works well when you saute it in ghee. The fat soluble part of turmeric gets activated, and then you add water to your vegetables, so the water soluble part of the turmeric gets activated and you get maximum benefits of turmeric. Having cilantro means coriander chutney every single day. So either chutney, I say chutney because when you make the chutney of cilantro leaves, coriander leaves, there is a possibility of consuming good amount of cilantro in place of just chopping and sprinkling cilantro. But it's a good practice for chopping and sprinkling cilantro. It is not just for looks, for beautifying your meals, but it has its real value, because cilantro or coriander leaves bind heavy metals and take them out of the body. So it is important that the heavy metals that we have accumulated due to exposure of a lot of xenobiotic products come out. So using of cilantro leaves once in a week. We also recommend using vegetables like broccoli or Brussels sprouts. Broccoli and Brussels sprouts have sulfur in them. Usually we do not want sulfur products in our body because sulfur has an antibiotic effect. So when it goes into our body, it kills the bad bacteria, but it also kills our friendly bacteria. But when you cook these Brussels sprouts and broccoli, the sulfur is also becomes very mild. So it doesn't kill our friendly bacteria. And this sulfur is actually a binder, and a binder to products like heavy metals like mercury. And they bind these heavy metals and take them out of the body. So it helps elimination of the fat tissue. Next is the bone, asti, and good calcium rich foods like coconut. Now some of you may be thinking that how people used to add grated coconut on different meals, on poha, on upma, on many dishes. So coconut also helps gaining good calcium in the body. Sesame seeds have good calcium. So adding sesame seeds or making, sauces or tahini out of sesame seeds, toast and have sesame seeds. Milk and paneer again are good calcium rich foods. The bone marrow, there are no vegetarian foods that actually directly nourish the bone marrow. But if the bone tissue is good, then the bone marrow is automatically nourished. So as we go through these layers, the rasa, the first layer is like the raw material for forming the next, and then rakta becomes the raw material for mamsa. So right from the first layer, if you are taking care of each tissue, then the deeper you go, these tissues are taken care of. And the last tissue is shukra dhatu, or the reproductive tissue, and good things that nourish shukra dhatu, they are called shukrala foods. Suran, ratalu, they have good properties to directly nourish the shukra dhatu. And of course, milk and paneer. So you can see that milk and milk products are there at so many places. That's why I talk about importance of having good milk in your diet. Having, especially kids, having a glass of milk every day, utmost essential. Talking about elimination at bone and bone marrow level, drumsticks and moringa, they are good foods to help clean up the bone marrow. But all we want is to take care of keeping the tissues at the initial levels clean. What happens is that if there is toxin at rasa level, and if it is not cleaned, it further seeps in while forming the blood. And then if the tissue if the toxin stays too longer in the blood, it seeps into muscles, and then fat, and then bone and bone marrow. The deeper the toxins go, the level of disease increases. For example, when the toxins reach the bone and the bone marrow, then you encounter autoimmune diseases. So that's where we need to start cleaning up from the bone marrow level. We do not want toxins to reach shukra dhatu, because once the toxins reach shukra dhatu, that means it is life threatening. So I mean, there is no direct thing to clean up, because we have to clean up at the level of bone marrow, and we hope the toxins are not going much any deeper. So we studied foods that nourish each dhatu and foods that help detox each dhatu. And the previous slide told us adding the 6 taste. Now, with this knowledge, we are going to move on to the application part of this knowledge. So let's start. The first part of this is, I'm going to present this menu for you, where I have mindfully applied all the principles and planned a sample, a classical, traditional breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner. So I will walk you through this. For breakfast, milk with a grain. So either suji, kheer, oatmeal, or granola milk. Okay. So right away, with having milk and grain, let's go back and see what did we nourish. So grain, we have covered rasa, we have covered muscle tissue, we have covered bone and bone marrow and shukra dhatu. And in terms of taste, we have covered madhur taste. Okay, so we have covered a sweet taste. Now, let's go back to our menu. Lunch. So I planned here roti, again a grain, lauki and radish. Lauki and radish, or lauki and mooli sabji. This is a very good combination, very good for kidneys, lauki and radish. Lauki comes under squash. So again, we have a madhur taste, but radish we have covered astringent taste, if you remember, the 6th taste. Okay. Moong dal, again astringent taste and a protein. Rice, a grain. Beet salad, we covered rakta dhatu. Okay. And I'm not able to see here. Probiotic buttermilk. So we have covered yogurt, probiotic buttermilk. So I missed to mention one thing. So once we reach shukra dhatu actually is the place where ojas is created. Ojas is known as, we can, in a simple way, we can understand that it produces neurotransmitters and hormones. Hormones, although they are very less in quantity, but we have experienced that they have a huge impact on our mind. So it is very health of Shukra Dhatu is very important for overall neurological and hormonal health. And then we go to the mind. So mind, nourishing the mind has is also very important. And there is a lot of modern research also which talks about this, that the gut of the brain of the brain is in the gut. So having good probiotics which infuse good friendly bacteria in the gut actually helps our brain and our mind. So having probiotic buttermilk to your meals is a brilliant idea to keep. So we talked about the body, the physical tissues. Now we're talking about the mind. And then when we go to the soul level, so for the soul level, there are certain foods that are not good. So, we all must be knowing that many people who want to pursue spirituality, they don't eat foods like onion and garlic, which actually block the, soul level progress. So that was about the probiotic buttermilk. Then for snack, so 2 hours after lunch, so between snack and dinner, we can have a bowl of fresh fruits. Have fruits by themselves, not with the meals. Also, another tip is having fruits according to their taste. So have sour fruits together. For example, the berries, the oranges, they come under category of a little bit sour fruits. So have them together and have sweet fruits in a bowl together. It helps good digestion. Then let's see what's remaining. We didn't cover the elimination part of bone and bone marrow, and we also didn't cover the cleanup of the fat tissue. So in the night, we have vegetable khichdi with spinach, drumstick, and have a coriander mint chutney in the side. So if you take like 1 minute and go through this menu, you will realize that in one day, I have covered nourishing all the 7 dhatus and included all the 6 tastes while I planned this menu. I hope it makes sense and looks simple. And to test that, I'm going to request all of you to find one flaw or make some change or addition to this menu to make it perfect. You could write your answers on the chat if that is enabled. And let me see. Where did I go wrong when I planned this menu? Yes, Chandni pointed out that there is no dal, so we don't have protein in this menu, correct? Why is beet salad wrong? No, beet salad is okay. In fact, beet is good for Rakta Dhatu, and with palak, the absorption happens. No, we are not having fruits. I am just having a menu for lunch or dinner, for example, lunch menu, not a snack menu. So we don't need fruits in this menu. Yes, Braj Vallavi got it. Palak paneer. So the green and yogurt, not milk. So when we did food combinations, we said greens don't go with yogurt. Somebody I just quickly read asked what is the difference between yogurt and curd. It's the same. So I'm talking about good probiotic, homemade, nicely cultured curd or yogurt. It's the same thing. In this part of the world, they use the word yogurt more often. So you hear me saying yogurt. So yes, so the greens, the palak doesn't go well with yogurt. greens don't go well with yogurt. That's a wrong food combination. There is no dal. Palak is a green leafy veggie. So Mahi, dal is fine, but palak is a green leafy veggie. No tikta rasa. Bitter, greens usually have the bitter taste. So it is included. Paneer is also a protein, correct? But paneer is also protein, but dal would enhance this menu. There is also quantity. We are not talking about quantity, but yes, dal is missing. Most of us got that there is less protein, dal is missing. No astringent factor, yes. So either we have to add some more cumin to the sabji when we make, or we need to add some radish, or when we add dal also has astringent taste. Correct. Channing, greens. So greens, palak is a green. So we are good with greens. Can we use curd instead of buttermilk in our lunch? So yes, we will take questions later, but in light of this, yes, you can use curd, but you should dilute the curd a little bit more, because curd is clogging, a little bit heavy. So adding some spices to curd and diluting it helps. That's why I say buttermilk. Okay, so now we can move on to the next part. Next is, now that we have walked you all through an example menu. You all were able to locate some flaw in the next menu. I did an example menu, a very classical Indian menu, but many of you may come up with questions that, is Ayurveda only roti, sabji, dal, chawal? No, we can Ayurvedize our meals. That's the thing. We have to apply the ancient wisdom to the modern times, because our kids, to keep our kids interested in following principles. So we can Ayurvedize our meals. So if you can think of any cuisine of your choice, which you regularly use, and now think of the principles, apply these principles mindfully, and, make your own menu to design a complete menu having all the nutrients. It can be anything: Italian, Mexican, Thai, Chinese. So y'all can do this offline and also message. We are going to also do a couple of webinars. If you join that group, we can discuss there, or you all can write to me, send me your menus, and I can get back to you. But I hope I was able to explain the basic principles on which you can design your menus. Lastly, I would like to give a little bit introduction to the next two workshops that we are going to do, and understanding detox, weight loss, sugar and fat metabolism. So this menu planning, as I said in the beginning, we are doing a general menu planning, not for specific conditions, specific situations. So when it comes to specific situations or conditions, or for that matter, even age, so kids, children, they are growing and they need more nourishment and less detoxing. Their tissues are forming. They do not need more detoxing foods in their meals. As we grow, especially when we cross 30, we see we need more detoxing food in our diet. We need to regularly clean our tissues to keep them healthy, and add nourishment to the tissues. So according to age, according to season, according to your situation, the menus change, they tweak a little bit. So when we talk of detox and sugar and fat metabolism, what happens is, a lot of people, when they talk about losing weight, Ayurveda is a science which actually addresses only the root cause, than to just externally work upon it. For example, if your pipe is leaking, it's good to do a tiny job of stopping it leaking by tying some cloth or doing some work. But unless you fix that problem from the root, replace the pipe, or find a place where the leakage is happening and fix that, you are not going to actually achieve good results. You will keep tying the cloth, putting a bucket below the pipe, gathering the water. So it's actually not going to solve your root problem. So similarly, a lot of weight management these days happens by starving yourself, not eating less. But when we talk of weight management in Ayurveda, we talk to the root of the problem. Sometimes the problem is too many toxins, as we talked about in the fat tissue, they get accumulated, and we need to detox the fat tissue. Once the toxin load reduces, you have you get not only good health, but also the byproduct of reducing the toxin load on the body is weight loss. There could be other reasons, like your body has sugar and fat, weaker sugar and fat metabolisms as you grow, or by some part of your body doesn't function to fullest of its ability. Nobody is made perfectly. So that's your weakness. For example, kapha individuals have less agni, and their fat metabolism is weaker. So they need more support. That once you detox, that's good. You have removed all the toxins. But what about not accumulating more toxins is by helping to metabolize all the fats that you're going to eat, or all the sugar that you're going to eat. You need to process. Sugar not only means just sugar, refined sugar or the sweets, but also sugars in terms of carbs, heavy foods. So when you actually give support by planning certain kinds of menus, by using certain kind of spices in your menus every day, which actually help metabolize your sugars and fats, and you keep your tissues clean by detoxing them. There are different kinds of toxins. It's a topic in its own self. Like the toxins that are, like, quickly I could go through. One is ama, which is the toxin which is immediately formed. Then the immediately formed toxin, if it is not taken out of the body at right time, it remains in the body, then it ferments, so it forms ama visha. Then all the external toxins which are foreign to the body, which come from our use of personal care products, they are called garavisha, that kind of product. So every toxin has a different way of melting and removing them out of the body. So once you detox, keep your tissues clean, your sugar and fat metabolism is okay, then weight loss just becomes a matter of byproduct. It is not that's not the main focus. That, I mean, of course that's the goal, but more important is to have good clean health than to just not eat, starve yourself and lose weight. And so this, of course, this seminar is not only for people who are overweight or want to lose weight. It is also who want to learn about detox and plan menus which help these processes. So I look forward to seeing you for these webinars. We can now take questions, if there are questions.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mataji. That was quite an elaborate session and really, really helpful. Also, as Mataji said, Practical Spirituality is organizing 2 very wonderful workshops with Braja Manjari Mataji in the upcoming weeks. The first one is on detox and weight loss on 24th of July. And the second workshop is on sugar and fat metabolism on 7th of August. Devotees can register with the help of link in the chat box. Details of workshops would be shared in Practical Spirituality WhatsApp groups. Please connect with us if you haven't from the link in the chat box. Thank you so much. So the participants have a lot of questions, Mataji. The first one goes like, could you please suggest some food tips for people having cholesterol problems, high BP problems, and gastric problems?
Okay, so it's a very good question. But these are specific conditions. I could give some tips, but again, we need to go to the root cause of the problem. Studying the lifestyle of the person, what is going wrong. Sometimes just tweaking something small may help solving these kind of problems. But high BP problems, one tip I would say, change your salt. Change from sodium salt to normal to the rock salt or the soma salt. And of course, I'm sure your doctors have advised you to have less salt in your meals, so that helps. But we also would want to know what is happening if they are consuming a lot of vegetable oils. When I talked about, even now, this oils is common for cholesterol and gut health and BP. So when I talked about fats, so good fats, I mentioned ghee, olive oil, and sesame oil. But a lot of people use vegetable oils, a lot of refined oils. So these are the root cause of many BP and cholesterol problems, because they overwhelm and heat up the liver so much. So just by reducing the use of these kind of oils and using good fat in your diet, it might help. We can go to the next question.
Yes, thank you so much, Mataji. The second question is, how do we sanitize vegetables according to Ayurveda? What is the right way?
Sanitize the vegetables. So vegetables have, as we explained, a lot of prana, and their membranes are porous. So adding the sanitizer to the vegetable is not the best thing to do, but washing them with warm water and cooking them. So cooking has benefits not only for aiding digestion to the stomach, but even more benefits, like it evaporates and takes away a lot of toxins also, and also a lot of bacteria that may come along with it. Like for example, I think some years ago there was a story floating that somebody was having Loki juice every day, and then a person died of having just Loki juice, and then the Loki became the villain, not to have Loki juice. But the problem is having raw Loki juice. Like if you have it raw, uncooked, cooking process also helps you evaporate a lot of toxins. For example, even in spinach, there are a lot of oxalates. If you don't cook spinach and have raw spinach, these oxalates settle in your body, form kidney stones. These crystals form kidney stones, gallstones. But when you cook, these oxalates again evaporate. And so cooking process itself helps a lot.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. Yes, sure. The next question is for acidity, like you mentioned, lime. Could you suggest any other remedies also for the acidity problems?
Having alkaline diet, so lime on top and not cooking with that, not having acidic causing vegetables. There are a group of vegetables that actually clog the channel. They are called nightshades: tomatoes, potatoes, bell peppers, eggplants. If you reduce the use of these vegetables, you will see a great difference. Also, timing of the meals. Not having huge meals after skipping a meal, that can be a cause of acidity. Or just sleeping after having a meal, then the digestion has not happened properly, that can cause acidity. So there can be a number of things that can be tweaked. These are some of the suggestions that I could think of.
Yes, that was really helpful, Mataji. The next question is, do we miss out on iodine or any other nutrient if we switch completely to Sendha salt?
So Sendha salt also has iodine. It has all and more minerals. So usually we don't miss it. But if you have any iodine deficiency, then there are some other ways to get your iodine. Like there are seaweeds, like vegetarian seaweeds, which you can cook them, the sea plants, which you can cook them with the dal, which you get in some seasons. So there are other ways also to get natural iodine in your diet. Sometimes you may just overdo iodine by using regular salt, honestly, because everybody doesn't need every single day that amount of iodine.
Yes, Mataji. So one question is about the lemon rice. They say that if we can't heat lemon, so what about how can we have lemon rice?
So ways to work around it. I make lemon rice by first cooking the rice and then adding the lime on top. Like once the rice is warm enough, I add the lime on top and mix it.
Yeah. Yes, Mataji. The next question is about what about Panchamruta? It has milk and yogurt together with other ingredients.
Yeah, so Panchamrut, like how much Panchamrut do you consume? Like it is given in this much proportion in the temples, right? So I'm talking about using like food combining in terms of, making white sauce or making a smoothie with yogurt, milk, and fruits. So, I mean, the quantity definitely matters. These are spiritual practices. So again, there are more ingredients. So they have other effect. Like when there is honey also in Panchamrit, then the quality or the reaction with yogurt is different than just having milk and yogurt. So it changes accordingly.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. The next question is that how many meals in a day is recommended? Because due to a busy lifestyle, the lunch and dinner is quite late and sometimes delayed. So how to adjust this?
So delaying meals is not the best practice to do. There is a window, like sun rises, the fire of digestion rises, sun sets, the fire of digestion sets. When the sun is overhead, the fire of digestion is to its maximum. So usually once we wake up, we shouldn't keep our stomachs hungry for a long time. So immediately once we wake up, within an hour, there should be some breakfast, some food gone into the stomach. And then lunch best eaten between 10 to 2, no later than 2 p.m. Then again, 2 hours after lunch, some snack, which can be in the form of fruit. And then 2 hours after snack can be dinner. So that's how you can space your meals out and have a cutoff. So 10 to 2 is a big window. So even if you say you're going to have lunch late, then have your breakfast accordingly so that you can survive till 1:30 and have your lunch. Like according to your situation, you can tweak the timings. Hope this helps.
Yes, Mataji, thank you so much. The next question is, what is your say on Himalayan salt and Sendhav salt?
So Himalayan salt and Sindhav salt, both are rock salt, both are same, but Himalayan salt is pink, as you see, and the pink color is more the pink color, meaning more the sulfur in the salt. So sulfur is something which we don't want to consume regularly. When I talked about sulfur, I said Brussels sprouts and broccoli once a week. So that's why even if you choose Himalayan salt, more whiter the salt, it's better. More pink the salt is, it has more sulfur.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. The next question is, those who wish to remain celibate, a brahmachari, should the food that nourish Shukra Dhatu be avoided?
So Shukrala food actually helps to nourish the Shukra Dhatu, and even if you want to remain celibate, still you need to nourish the dhatu for good health, because then the after that, as I explained, the neurotransmitters are formed, hormones are formed. So regardless of that, you need to nourish the Shukra Dhatu. But since you are celibate, it can the quantity, as I said, today we didn't talk about how much quantity, because that is very situational. So the quantity may reduce, like instead of worrying about it for every day. You might not have special Shukrala vegetables like Suran and Ratalu, but milk and milk products, which anyways nourish Shukra Dhatu and other Dhatus, they are fine.
Yes. Thank you, Mataji. The next question is, should we not eat sweet fruits for breakfast first, as I have been informed that milk is actually acidic?
No. So milk is a topic in itself. Milk, again, we have to go back to the basics, talking about what kind of milk. So having a farm fresh A2 milk, unhomogenized, unprocessed, is a great thing to have. Of course, boiling with spices is the best recommendation to have milk. First thing in the morning, so fruits are somagenic, or they have a lot of soma energy. They are considered as heavy and they need some good digestion work to get digested. So it's like when you are sleeping and when you're waking up in the morning, you have to start the fire of digestion. It's like lighting a campfire. So when you are lighting the campfire, there are initially, there are small twigs, there is some fire, some spark going here and there. The fire of digestion is not going to light properly for the day. So instead, you eat something which actually ignites the fire of digestion. And then when the fire is actually burning like Agni in the afternoon, that time you can add the heaviest meal of the day. And likewise, so many a times I recommend a lot of people that begin your day with something very light, like boiling an apple with clove. So clove actually helps opening the burners, like cleaning the burners of our in our stomach, which actually helps the fire to ignite nicely. So I wouldn't recommend raw foods, but something like a boiled apple with clove or a boiled apple with a pear is great to start your day with. But again, keep the principles in mind. Fruit and milk don't go together. So if you start your day with a boiled apple or a boiled pear with clove, take at least a 20-minute or a 30-minute break before you have milk. Okay.
Yes, Mataji, that helps. Thank you so much. The next question is, do you suggest intermittent fasting?
It depends on your body type. A lot of Pitta individuals who have high Pitta in their body, they cannot handle fasting. Some Kapha individuals may be able to handle fasting. So in general, but if you ask me in general, I would say space your meals, plan your meals and menus in such a way that you don't have to, keep your body hungry for a long time. I wouldn't recommend a lot of fasting, honestly. It's all about spacing your meals, adjusting your portion size, and planning your menu in a particular way, which can help in a much more efficient way without any side effects in the body. Some people, like in certain age, like all of us also might, vouch by it, that when we were young, we could fast, we had so much energy, and our body was so young and new that we could just be in our own world and not eat for 1 day, 2 days, and it used to not matter much. But as we grow, we realize that our body is not able to handle so much fasting. And the more we have abused our body in the past, the higher the payment we have to do in the coming years. So it's always good to balance.
Yes, that helps. Thank you so much, Mataji. The next question is, what is your say about drinking green juices on a daily basis?
So there are good, like as greens have a lot of importance that we have talked about, but uncooked green juices, no. You can cook and make your own green juices by just sauteing some greens in ghee and some spices, and then blend it, have greens in that form, in form of smoothies. Brilliant. But I don't recommend raw green juices. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Mataji. The next question is, there are a lot of pesticides that are used for growing vegetables nowadays. So how
Yes.
should we take that?
So that's why we have to find our best possible sources where we can get as close to nature as possible. Like we may not have access to, if we have access to a farm where the vegetables are grown and they come, brilliant. If not, then select the best available, which is organic, non-GMO, less processed. If not, then you make sure you clean vegetables nicely, wash them very properly before you use them. So depending on our situation, we have to choose what best is available to us.
Yes,
And then
thank you, Mataji.
if we accumulate pesticides regularly, we detox, and that's how we work.
Yes, yes, thank you, Mataji. The next question is, how to increase hunger and boost metabolism to increase weight of an underweight.
Yes, so there are digestive aids that we can give. Like one of the digestive aid could be ginger, mint, lime juice. So, before the meal, if you have a ginger, mint, lime drink 1 hour or something before the meal, then the appetite may increase and then you can serve the meal. That's one way to do it. Other way is regularly including probiotics in your meal, because good friendly bacteria, if grown well, then especially in kids, you can see that automatically the hunger rises. And it's not only about the hunger. Like when you talk about increasing the weight of underweight kids, sometimes I know kids who eat very well but still they don't put on weight. So maybe their digestion system is weak and they need a fix where they have their friendly bacteria are not enough, or not or in some process they have been destroyed. So we build the gut lining by giving them good aid for growing friendly bacteria. And once they start digesting and absorbing well, then even if they eat khichdi or lighter foods, the point is they should be able to absorb everything that they eat. So we need to understand that we need to give them aids for good appetite as well as good absorption and good digestion, not
Yes,
only
thank you, Mataji.
high calorie foods. Yes.
Yes, yes, thank you, Mataji. The next question is, can fruits be taken as dinner?
Fruits.
Fruits, yes, fruits can be taken as dinner.
Not really, actually, because dinner I always suggest sunset, agni less, so something very light to digest. So khichdi, moong dal, pancakes. So if you have your full meal, like a lot of times, I understand that people who work, they may not be able to have a heavy meal in the afternoon, and that's how our lifestyle contributes to a lot of complications, because they have a huge meal in the night when they come home. But on a regular basis, I would suggest that you have a heavy meal in the lunch and a lighter meal which is very easy to digest, soothing, calming, in the night. You can also have a glass of turmeric milk in the night. It gives you good sleep just before sleeping, if you want to keep it light. But fruits, I would recommend in the evening. So it could be between lunch and dinner, or it could be between breakfast and lunch.
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, this question is a little on a longer side. This says that recently my 3.5 years old twin boys are experiencing severe stomach ache in the center of the stomach. Doctors said that they are slightly allergic to wheat, so I stopped giving any wheat products for a while. But still they have slight stomach ache once in a while. I prepare home cooked food only with fruits and veggies. What can be the reason, and which brand wheat flour can we use?
So with allergies, if the stomach ache has reduced after reducing wheat, then it could be a wheat allergy. And I mean, one thing is they could be allergic to something, and other thing is how to address the allergy. So it's a very specific question, honestly, about allergies, because we study the history and the lifestyle and what could be tweaked there. But for now, I would suggest to stop the allergens and experiment on what makes them feel better first, to catch that what is exactly the problem, and then you can work on how then keep them on a elimination diet for a while you work around with solving the allergies, and then they would be able to eat that again. But you will see that if they are really allergic to wheat, then whenever, even one day in 15 days, whenever they have wheat, the symptoms will manifest. So first, it is important to understand if wheat is the cause or there is some other allergen there.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. The next question is, how should we view the modern concept of nutrition like vitamins and minerals in food based on Ayurveda? Like cooking vegetables is said to destroy vitamins. How does Ayurveda view that?
So if you see, I also included, we integrated the Ayurvedic perspective with the modern medicine. So for example, when I talked about Rakta Dhatu and the foods that nourish Rakta Dhatu, I said iron rich food. So we are, Ayurveda is a wholesome science, and it takes care of complete nutrition in terms of vitamins and calcium and mineral, and in an appropriate proportion. But as to talk about cooking, so if you pressure cook or overcook, it might destroy certain kinds of vitamins. But if you cook normally, most of the nutrients, like cooking is, as we talked, it's a science. So there is a formula in Charak Samhita how rice should be cooked. 6 cups of water boiled, and then you add 1 cup of soaked rice into it. So actually Charak Samhita mentioned, so when we cook, covering the vegetables when we cook is also an important part of cooking, to retain the flavors, the aroma, and the vitamins. So we don't lose on to many vitamins, but at the same time we also have to balance between evaporation of toxins which might cause harm, and at that cost retain some other vitamins. So there is always a give and take, and the best practice is depending on your situation and depending on the recommendation of long-term health in terms of overworking your stomach by having raw foods. I would always recommend having cooked foods. You may avoid using of pressure cookers to not lose your vitamins and vital minerals, and basically cook minimum to and cover so that the maximum nutrients are retained. In olden times, they used to use earthen pots, and get even more minerals from the natural material, so that it is retained. So as we progress into this age, we see that lot of pure practices have been lost, and we have a loss, but we have to make the best out of the bad bargain that we have. Choose the best between the options that we have.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. The next question is that can we have Ashgard juice every day, because it's known to be a very powerful detox juice?
So again, cook your Loki, cook your gourd, juice it up, add some spices to it, have it every day, no problem. But no raw, not raw juices. I wouldn't recommend raw juices.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. So there are a few questions yet. So if you allow, we can take some of them. Okay.
You can take.
So the next.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one question is, Which food to consume to increase weight?
Yes, so we just addressed the question, a few questions before. Increasing weight is not about what foods you consume. You might consume, I might tell you have avocados, have paneer, or have some heavy stuff. I know a lot of people have cheeses, but still the weight may not increase because the root cause may be some problem with digestion or absorption. So we need to first address what is going wrong, where the weight is not not increasing. Or there are, like, to begin with, not everyone has the same weight also, depending on what is the predominant energy in your body. So it may be simple, if a vata predominant person may not be able to put on weight beyond a certain level, and that's perfect for him. And a kapha person has to live with some kind of heavy weight, cannot reduce more than some limitation that has. It can come down, the person can come down from being overweight, but a vata and a kapha people will have their own prakruti. So that way, if you're talking about some people who just cannot put on weight in general, maybe they are vata predominant and they cannot put on weight. If you're talking about certain situations like kids, for example, who are just underweight, then we might need to understand why, right, maybe the digestion is not right, or right absorption is not happening, or the appetite is not right, and we need to increase the appetite so that the child eats properly and gains weight, rather than just focusing on high calorie foods and still not putting on weight.
Yes, thank you so much, Mataji. We still have many more questions, but due to time constraints, we cannot take them in this webinar. But thank you so much, Mataji, for this wonderful session. We are really, really grateful to you for having spared your valuable time and enlightening all the participants so beautifully. We thank all the participants for having joined us. Also, we need to announce that we have an upcoming webinar by Her Grace Urmila Mataji next Sunday, that is 18th of July at 5:30 p.m. And the topic is the 4 keys to raise Krishna conscious children. So I would like to request all of you to please join us. And for future webinars, you can join us by connecting with us on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and YouTube channels. You would find the recording of the classes on our YouTube channel, Practical Spirituality. Thank you so much again, everyone, for joining in. Thank you so much, Mataji. Really grateful to you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much.